IBC, the Teradek, live continuing coverage of the International Broadcasting Convention in the Vitek Group brand booth. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. I am so excited about our next guest. Andy from Abel Cine is joining us. You guys have really sunk your teeth into the filmmaking and the pro video and the DSLR world as this stuff has exploded in the last few years.
Absolutely.
And I've watched you guys grow. I mean, your operation has tripled, quadrupled in size. You're into education now.
Yeah.
You're doing not only, I mean, you've been doing for years the certifications of, Steadicam operators, of RED operators. Now you're doing all sorts of other certifications, including MOVI and all sorts of other stuff. And you guys are at the forefront of shared storage and servers, and people come to you for all their solutions now.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the beast that we have that is 4K and how we handle this. I mean, start to finish. It starts with, I think it starts with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but really your infrastructure. There's no possible way to daisy chain drives anymore. So you got to start with that, and then you can worry about your cameras and, everything else, your lighting and all that stuff.
You're right. Well, it's good to look at it from the post side, so to speak. I mean, post side's this massive thing, but to look at it from the infrastructure side first, right? As opposed to saying, here's a camera, I shot 4K, now what, right? Which is the most common.
It is the most common thing, but to me, it's the most backwards thing, because if you can't do anything with the 4K footage,
what good is it for you?
What good is shooting it?
Yeah, well, it's amazing. I mean, you look at raw 4K data that you can get really on a very inexpensive camera today, you know? With the massive data rates that involved with that, the massive file sizes, the massive decoding power required. Now, we have computers that can do that, we have drives that can do that, but that becomes the really expensive investment, more than the camera today.
Right, it's very true. So I've got a friend who bought a C500, bought the Odyssey, Convergent Design Odyssey 7Q, great package.
Totally.
And then he did the exact thing that I said we shouldn't do, and was, oh, wait, how do I edit this? And he had to then figure out his storage solution and everything else. Now, he works with me, so he's able to use the small tree servers that we have and all that, but he had to buy a new Mac Pro, and he had to buy all this other stuff to go with it, and he wanted to be able to edit on the go a little bit, because you can take that Mac Pro with you, and he had to, so he got a small tree T5, the small mobile thing, but you got to think about that. Again, you can't daisy chain drives anymore. It's not possible, and you have to be thinking about your infrastructure before you start. And like you said, I mean, you could start with an A7S, $2,500. You could buy a Shogun. You could be shooting 4K,
amazing,
for under $5,000, really, or somewhere in that neighborhood.
Think about your drives. Think about your SSDs that are needed in the recorder, how much those cost, and then think about the drives required to back up that.
Sure. I mean, the Convergent Design drives, which in the Shogun, you can buy $69 spinning discs. You can RAID two of them together, or you can buy SSDs, but you're buying off-the-shelf SSDs. They're a lot cheaper. You buy the Convergent Design ones. They're great, but they're super expensive.
They're qualifying them, which is great and feels good, and you know why you want that. But
two 512s rated together gave us, when we shot with the FS700 recently, and the 7Q, gave us a half an hour. Of 1 terabyte, basically. Two 512s gave us a half an hour.
Yeah, well, think about that in terms of the drive expenditure later, right? The process becomes exponentially more expensive.
And I think of that almost like it's beta tape. Because we had 30-minute beta tapes, or recorder tapes were 20 minutes. Right? Yeah. But the thing was, they seemed a lot like they were a lot at the time. They were like $85.
Right. Yeah.
But $85 would be a bargain today.
It would be for that. Well,
if you could shoot all your footage at $85, that'd be
fantastic.
Great.
Not too bad. Well, that's true. Well, and drives can be cheap too. Yes, we look at it like that. But I think you have to have, beyond just the storage capacity, at the speed of the drive, at the better rate array, you have to push all those things to actually use that footage in a real way. So it's, you just looked at it per gigabyte, you think, okay, well, I can get a spinning disk that does this for, a terabyte for $90 or something like that. And maybe it starts to add up, but it doesn't really, because you can't edit off that drive. It's not fast enough to do that, So it becomes this big, a big challenge for so many people.
And it's something you have to plan for budget-wise.
You really do.
What about lighting for 4K? I mean, because, look, I mean, you got the A7S. If you're going to shoot with that, the ISO range on that is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
You're up in the 150,000 and still see very little noise.
You're right, it's amazing.
And so lighting for that doesn't seem like it's a challenge, but some of the other cameras, the C500 eats light for lunch. you know, the Reds, they want a lot of light.
Right.
All these other cameras seem like they want a lot of light when they're shooting 4K.
Well, usually when you go to a higher res sensor like that, the pixels are smaller, and so they need more light. You know, of course now we have fairly high ISO cameras. I mean, really high compared to film. You know, and you have they're all rated around that 800, 400. It's pretty decent,
right.
But it still means you need light. You know, you can't avoid it. A7S is a great example of a camera that can be 4K and be crazy amazing,
yeah.
But massive photo sites because it's full frame but 4K, 1:1 resolution. So that's a great thing. But you know, so in that scenario, I think you're still, you know, people think, oh, I can just skip the lighting package. Well, that doesn't work that way. You still need to control your light and light. You know,
and
there's artistry to that.
It looks awkward if we were doing some kind of shoot. You were an actor, or you're here on set even, right?
Yeah.
And you're not lit.
Yeah.
We might not need the lighting to see you.
Right.
That's true. You might not
lighting
look dark,
in the building
but the
here.
lighting gives you a pop and a bounce and separates you from the background.
Right.
We have a backlight on you. It separates you from the background. We have front lights on you.
Right.
That creates
control.
a whole look. We get the shadows off your face, all that stuff.
That's never going to change. You can't. Doesn't matter what camera you have. You need the light. It's just all there is to it.
I do a lot with the mobile filmmaking with like iPhones and iPads and stuff, and I love that space too.
Of course, amazing.
I got a beta app right now. I'm shooting 4K on my iPhone, which is unbelievable.
That's pretty amazing.
It is, and it's going to be, and you can edit it on the iPhone. But I tell people, the first thing I say to them is, look, when you use an iPhone or any other, it's a camera now if you're using it as a camera. And that means you need to have a tripod, you have to have the right audio stuff, you have to light it. You have to treat it as any other camera. You can't just wave it out there. Here, it's my iPhone.
Done.
I'll shoot like this, or let me do a selfie.
It doesn't change the process.
Exactly.
The tools don't change the process.
Well, I mean, that Bentley commercial, I was a consultant on.
That's right. Yeah, you told me about that.
We used a Movi for that.
Yeah.
You know, that custom-made Movi for iPhone.
That was made M5 stabilized.
Yeah.
Well, it had a look. And it has a look, though. That's what you want. You can't get around that. You know, I think there's that perception of the tool. Yes, that one tool may save you money, and that's great. Hey, we all want to save money, and budgets are great, important things, but you can't really get away from the artistry of it, which we hope you don't get away from the artistry, but you really can't get away from the process either. These things are important.
Right, and one of the reasons I love the iOS devices is because of the workflow. It speeds the workflow,
totally,
it cuts the labor down, but you still have to, as you're saying, you have to do the rest of the stuff right. And it's great for like ENG news stuff and for small corporations and stuff who want to do product videos and all this other stuff, and on a budget, they can do amazing and very creative things, but again, you still have to light it and all that. What do you see are the newest trends going on, you know, in your mind, and what's the latest?
Just across the industry in 4K, or just anywhere?
Anywhere, just across the industry.
Well, I mean, you know, I love that. We're still seeing that sort of, you know, revolution of the big sensor, right? That's still important, and 4K is certainly happening, obviously, everywhere. So 4K big sensor is still in, you know. Of course, that goes into DSLRs and how that in the A7Ss and the GH4s follow along that same basic idea, right? So for camera technology-wise, we're still seeing that be, you know, hip to be the 4K big sensor system. You know, but I am seeing an evolution of cameras on this camera path here anyway, of being more shoulder mounted, which is starting to feel good. We're going backwards,
which is good. I like
from this little guy to back over here, and I think that's a response. I like it too, you know, and you know, because of the rigs and the complicated.
I'm super excited about the Scion.
I mean, yeah, it's really cool. You know, all this form factor that fits in your shoulder, designed to go there. You know, and the same with the new F7S from Sony. Again, meant to go there.
Awesome.
And you know, all these these cameras are coming out that look like that, and that's a response to the customer saying, "Hey, listen, that's great. I want that quality, that look, but hey, can we put it back on my shoulder again?"
And that price point, because those two cameras that you just mentioned, the FS7 and the Scion,
both under 10,
under $10,000.
Exactly,
and
which you could never possibly get to before.
And I think it was awesome that Wooden Camera's making an EF mount to go on the front of the Scion, so you could not have to use PL mount.
Which is big for that camera. It's really important. And you have to have the adapter. I mean, and Canon glass is just such an important thing to have for all that sort of stuff.
What are you most excited about?
At the show here, or just in general?
No, at the show here.
You know, I'm really into the camera, the F7S.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that.
FS7, I can't get it right. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff, man. I don't know. I'm really into that. I love seeing the small things, though. You know, little subtle touches. You know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's the blockbuster, the F7S.
Yeah, I think it is for IBC. It's the show.
And now I screwed it up.
Yeah, okay, I'm getting all wrong because it's the A7S, whatever. The servo, the servo for the Zeiss lens is really cool. I'm into camera stuff, I know, but I've also spent a lot of time in the post area looking at some of the SNS and the Pro Max and the new tools for server server-side stuff, and even some new tech stuff, which I know you guys
Yeah, the
use
new
here.
tech stuff has been amazing. Talk show is another blockbuster.
I mean, really
here,
cool
and
thing, yeah.
The TriCaster just gets better and better.
It does. It's amazing.
We love the live broadcasting.
Yeah, obviously.
The live streaming. This man's clearly an expert. He knows his stuff. He can talk his way around anybody here. So
too fast, I know.
call up Abel Cine and talk to him. Find out what you need to get. Thank you, Andy, so much for joining us from Abel Cine, LA and New York. And look, they'll courier your stuff to you if you need it immediately too. I'm Michael Artsis. This is your continuing IBC coverage from Teradek here at the International Broadcasting Convention in Amsterdam. Thanks so much for joining us. We have a lot more show. We'll be back with talking about live vMix right after this.